Hello everyone, for this video we're going to be looking at dorsiflexion range of motion, both of the soleus and the gastrocnemius. We know that adequate range of motion in dorsiflexion is highly protective of the knees, as we see in literature. Restrictions in the gastrocnemius and the soleus can potentially lead to medial displacement of the knee, which places the athletes at a high risk of ACL injury. The mechanism at play here is, of course, compensation. When there are deficits in sagittal plane range of motion, the compensation is going to be in the frontal plane, mostly seen at the knee. Sporting actions are, of course, going to be decelerations, whether that be from a sprint, most often seen in jump landings. So we think of sports like basketball and volleyball, where there are a lot of jumping actions and so a lot of deceleration actions. First test we are going to be demonstrating is going to be the inline lunge test. This is going to assess the range of motion of the soleus. Literature states that at least 20 degrees of knee flexion is needed to limit the contribution of the gastroc in dorsiflexion range of motion. So for this, we're going to have the athlete place both feet directly in line. You can see a piece of tape is on the floor there to make sure that it's completely sagittal. Now from here, the athlete is going to flex the knee as far as they can, using the tibialis anterior to aid in dorsiflexion here. Some compensation you might see is the athlete try to lift the heel. This, of course, is going to shift that tibial angle further forward and aid in range of motion. So we want to restrict that. You can see I'm placing my hand on the back of the heel or the Achilles to limit that lift of the heel. And once again, we're going to take measurements 2 times per leg, take the average, of course, and then compare to the literature. Now with the measurement, again, we're using the inclinometer here. We're going to line it directly up with the tibia. If an athlete has a more pronounced tibialis anterior or gastrocnemius, you want to place it on the lateral side of the leg just to make sure that you're completely in line with the tibia here. Now we're moving on to the weight-bearing lunge test. This is going to be for the gastrocnemius. Now again, for the soleus, we said that at least 20 degrees is needed to limit the contribution of the gastroc. Here we need 0 degrees of knee flexion to maximize the contribution of the gastrocnemius. So we're going to cue the athlete to fully extend the knee by contracting the quads. Again, same thing. I'm going to place the hand on the Achilles of the athlete to ensure that that heel does not raise and increase that shin angle. Also, you can see here that I am making sure that the athlete is again in the sagittal plane. So we have the piece of tape there again to make sure. You can see a slight adjustment there. Athlete goes into as far of dorsiflexion as they can. We line up the inclinometer with the shin or the tibia, and then we take the measurement. Again, we're going to do 2 measurements per side, take the average, and then of course look at the existing literature and normative data, and then compare that.